today's episode, we are joined by amazing ladies. First and foremost, we have an American film and TV actress, Megalyn Echikunwoke, and also Ebele Onyema from GEANCO, here to talk about the upcoming gala. But before we proceed with everything gala and all of those fancy dress, attire where we just look cute and all of them things there. By the way, right? When's the last time you guys got to dress up, like, properly?
You look cute.
I don't remember.
February.
You know what I mean.
What am I doing? I see you guys are like glowing and fresh.
Thank you. But I mean gala attire, those long, nice dresses and the heels and the clutches.
What are you? I don't know.
I feel like it was
I feel you. But before we get into all the gala talk and all that fancy dress, Megalyn, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I feel really lucky. I'm working right now. I'm working my ass off right now. I somehow, am getting great opportunities and still able to do what I love in the midst of all of this. So I feel really good. Yeah. That's lovely.
And Ebele, how are you?
I'm good. Same thing. Able to still work. I have perfected the art of the stroll, of the neighborhood stroll, and I love it. I feel like I'm always seeing new things, noticing something new. So I just feel the same like as Megalyn. Just really lucky.
So for you, Megalyn, what was life like, or what has life been like during lockdown?
Honestly, not that different than it was before. I mean, obviously, no work, no shooting and things like that, production. But for me, I think a lot of artists, freelance, independent artists can probably relate. You have your time when you're working, then you have your time when you're creating, and the creative time is usually pretty isolated and solitary. So basically it was like a really concentrated period of creative solitary time, which when I'm between projects is usually like that. So in some ways it was a huge gift. And yeah, I mean, in addition to the other things, like just being like, can someone touch me? I definitely missed all of that. And I got a bit worn out doing Zooms and FaceTimes, and but you get used to it because this is our new life. So it's been challenging, but also I think really rewarding and a huge gift. I got a lot done. I did a lot of writing and a lot of creative work, so it's been great. And now I'm actually working. Like, I feel like I'm in the first round of people really in production, shooting on set, and now it's like the COVID productions. So it's been really strange, but also in a way really cool, because you don't waste time on set. Sometimes, when you're working on set, things can drag out, and now it's just like, really, you cut the fat out. There's no people are there that don't need to be there. Yeah. Just in, out, you get it done. So it's also new and challenging, but in some ways better. So I think this whole year has been like that, the making room for the new, even though it's uncomfortable. There's so many blessings in this time, and so many new ways of working and new points of view and paradigm shifts that are really uncomfortable and scary, but inevitable. I mean, it's at the end of the day really maybe better and more to it.
No, I feel you completely. Definitely when you said in terms of just making way for the new, even though it may be uncomfortable. Because I always feel like for us to elevate and for us to be the best versions of ourselves, we always have to push ourselves out of what we know as the norm. We always have to challenge ourselves to experience new things, even if they are uncomfortable. So people being able to just get used to this new norm, but grow and flourish in that new norm, I think is a beautiful process and a beautiful transition. So you've been acting for over 2 decades. That's a long time. Just saying. It's quite a long time. When
How old am I?
in the way
So
that
I've
I'm
been
looking at
active
you,
for my entire life, including the womb.
Move.
maybe.
Came out screaming a sonnet.
Yes. Tap dancing.
LOL. But when and how did you discover your talent and think like, this is what I want to do, this is my calling, this is my purpose, and I am gonna pursue it and kill it?
Well, I don't think I always had that. Point of view. But I will say, I just feel I just so much of my life has just been luck and good fortune, and also just courage to just do what I want without being able to, without knowing how it's going to go, or being scared but still going for it. So I think I always knew I wanted to do this. Growing up, I always was doing my own versions of, performance. I was always acting, I was always singing, I was always in every talent show. I was always taking every opportunity I got to do performance art. I didn't really have that many opportunities, but it was just something that I did intuitively without really thinking. When I would hear music, I would emulate it. I would, when I grew up listening to like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and Anita Baker and all kinds of music, reggae music, Afrobeat, country music, a lot of country music. So I was influenced by a lot of different cultures growing up, and I would always just naturally emulate them. And when I would see great performances, I was always just so inspired by performance art, and so I just did it sort of naturally. And then I grew up on the Navajo reservation in northeastern Arizona, so I sort of grew up between like many different cultures. And my father died when I was really young. He died when I was 4. So my father was Igbo. He came to the United States when he was 18 for college. That's where my parents met. But he died tragically when I was really young. So I only really had the Nigerian influence from my uncles growing up. And then my mom is like a cowgirl from Texas. And so she's a nurse. So she was basically recruited by the Navajo Nation, because the Native Americans in the United States, they have free healthcare, free education. So the hospitals are federally run. So it's kind of like, just to give an example, if you know what, like being the child of a military brat or military person. So
Okay.
sort of like that. It was really, really remote. And a completely its own sovereign nation within the United States. So so it's pretty interesting. And I'm getting off the question, but my point is, I didn't have a lot of opportunities to do the stuff that I always wanted to do, which is what I'm doing now, but I always did it naturally, intuitively. I took every opportunity. And once one of those opportunities was just to do band when I was older. They had band only in you could only do band because they just have regular public school. So not a lot of arts programming. But when you get to the older grades, like junior high, you get band. And so I was like, okay, I need to be in band. So I started playing the saxophone, and I was, really like, I wanted to be the best at the saxophone. So I became first chair at the saxophone, and I'm like, okay, what can I do next? So my band teacher, he's like, you're really talented. Check out that poster on the wall. And the poster he had in the band room was this poster for this fine arts academy in Idlewild, Ontario, which is in California. And it's this fine arts high school that offered some programming, summer programs, and it's really fancy, really expensive. There's no way I could have afforded to go, but he was like, just apply for a scholarship. And I was like, okay. So I wrote them an essay and I said, you know, I'm just this girl from the res, you know, I have no dad and mom's, you know, I'm a single mom, and can I please go to your fine arts academy for the summer? I want to do theater workshop. And I got the scholarship. And I went. And because they had all this fine arts, and I was like, well, I want to do theater. I wanted to do all of them, but I figured I had my best shot at theater. And I think I had to send a performance also. And then so I did the workshop as like a 3-week workshop, and the guy who was my manager for 13 years was in the audience of that performance.
Wow.
I think I got chosen they picked like 8 students out of the group to do a monologue, to be featured doing a monologue. And I picked a Tennessee Williams monologue from this play called Summer and Smoke. And he was in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, he said, you know, I think you're really talented. And he pursued me to represent me. And then my career just sort of started from there. I started auditioning for things, and I eventually got my first job, and I was flying around and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Little did I know. Yeah. Little did I know that was the beginning of this, but that's really how it started. And yes, I guess I just was really lucky to know, to really follow that passion I had, and it paid off.
Divine timing is everything. It's always like that one mentor or that one coach or that one person that sees it in you and then puts you in a position that kind of, you know, snowballs the effect of everything else in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I love how you touched on your experience living on the reservation, and obviously like that's been, you know, native rights and Indigenous people rights, especially, you know, Monday is Indigenous Peoples Day. Ahead of that, like how, like you've been very vocal about your like activism work and everything. How did that come about? I mean, like being that you were firsthand kind of, you know, experiencing that, like that, what goes on, you know, between their community, and then also being a Black woman, and, you know, going back to also being an African woman, what's going on in Nigeria now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes from, a lot of it comes from being, I think somehow being sort of an outsider in every culture that I'm in kind of plays a part in it. But on the reservation, I became very aware of what was going on and the injustices done to the Native Americans and the Navajos specifically. And my mother was always very much, very vocal about all that stuff. And she's always been, I don't think she's not a super politically engaged person, or I wouldn't call her an activist, but she was definitely educated and aware, and definitely gave me and my brother space to form our own ideas about that. And most recently, my activism, if you will, I would say comes from it's mostly being a Black woman, presenting as a Black woman in this culture, but being sort of still an outsider. And I guess I've been in LA then, you know, for probably, like you said, over 2 decades now. And it's been really interesting. And especially like with the police brutality stuff and the mass incarceration stuff, that stuff, I'm really vocal about that stuff because I've seen firsthand the impact that has on a person's life through my family. So, and I have a very, very intimate relationship with that whole process. And it's really, really it's been really, really upsetting. And it's had a really powerfully negative impact on my family's life. I feel like I can speak about it from a place that's really authentic, because it is a really serious problem. And there's so much work to be done. And there's so many lives that are being destroyed unnecessarily by that, and have been. I mean, and that's right. What's happening right now is just that
400 years.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, something has got to give. And so it's exciting to be, I don't really consider myself like, I mean, I don't really know. I'm just speaking from a place of authenticity and experience. So when people say like, where does your activism come from? Or you're such an activist. I don't really think of myself like that. I just speak, you know, about what's happening. Like, I'm just a regular person who has a point of view and who is and honestly, I'm just like, I speak from a place of rage and anger, not from like, I have something to say and people should listen to me about this and I am an activist and I stand for this. And it's really not. It's really from a very like angry, upset, lonely, small place where I feel like I'm just saying what's on my heart. Like, it's really not about
Black women telling her truth.
It's not about being a leader per se. I don't even think of myself like that. If that's how it comes across, that's great. But I'm not like, oh, I'm a leader and you should follow me because I know what's up. I do no, not at all.
Yeah, and you know what we're seeing and what's been rising in Nigeria in terms of the police brutality and the End SARS campaign that's really erupted over the past few days. And it's not something that is new. It's something that's been sort of instilled within the police force community in Nigeria, where young people are being just targeted, murdered, exploited, so many things. And I just wanted to know from both of you, what do you think about what's happening with regards to NSARS, and what words would you give to the young people of Nigeria, the people that are out there protesting, as well to our Nigerian government that don't seem to be doing what is right to progress the country the way that it ought to be progressed?
Yeah, well, I think you said it, you know, that's this idea of enough is enough. And at some point, there's a breaking point. I think culturally, there's often a number of breaking points, and this happens to be this particular moment in Nigeria where people are saying enough is enough, that the status quo, or the thing that you always thought was always going to be the thing that it is, you're just like, oh, okay, we just have to, this is just how it is. This is how this institution is. And then whether it's what has been happening in the States or whether it's timing, whatever the spark was, someone says, no, it doesn't have to be like this. This isn't just how it is, and we're going to say something. And I think that when you see that happening throughout history, it's an amazing moment, and it takes a lot of bravery and courage from the people that are on the vanguard, like leading that. It takes a lot of bravery to say enough is enough, and then to say it publicly, and then to get people around you.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, like you, to echo you, I can't even begin to understand what it would be like to be living in Nigeria under those conditions. And it's interesting because, you know, when I think of more globally about what's going on around the world and how what's going on in the United States has impacted what's going on around the world, I feel like it, you know, Americans are inspiring the rest of the world, but at the same time, I am aware of the privilege that we still have here to proceed in the way that we have, and to be entitled to the things that we should have. And a lot of people around the world are like, you know, they can't even, the idea of speaking out is like, deadly. So the amount of courage it must take, it takes a lot of courage from us, but we still have our protections. We still have our foundation in the United States, and our rights are, you know, pretty much intact. We can safely go out in the streets not as safely maybe lately, but I still will not think twice to go out in the street and protest. And I believe that I will be safe and I will come home alive for the most part. But, and there may be some police brutality. I may get arrested. I may get roughed up. I may get shot. But there are people who are like, if I do this, I will likely die. Mm-hmm. So I can't imagine what it would be like to face, you know, speaking out, or to go like, that's what it takes to have freedom. I think, I can't even imagine, but yeah, I think courage and bravery is really the essence of all of this. And it's the only reason that anything happened. And so...
Yeah, I was going to say most definitely. And for people that are watching this and feel like I'm not there, so I can't really help, I feel like nothing you do is too small, whether it be just educating yourself on the matter or retweeting or sharing information, the little we can do from our little corners. And if we use this tool that is handed to us, that is social media, it actually does a lot of work. Like, it actually does a lot. So anybody watching us feel like, how can I support, or how can I get involved, or how can I allow my voice to be heard? Any little helps, every little helps, and nothing is too small. So for you, Ebele, GEANCO is your family's foundation. So I want you to tell us a little bit about it, how it started, what's it all about, you know, all of them good things.
The origin story of GEANCO. Yeah. So when my dad was in secondary school, there was a doctor by the name of Dr. Mrs. Phillips, which I love that she was a doctor, and she still had to sneak that Mrs. in there and make sure she knows who she is. So Dr.
Double
Mrs. Phillips.
Double title. You should know who I am. You know me, like, for real.
But she was the nurse, and she was in charge of all these little African boys, and whenever they would have ailments. And my dad happened to volunteer in the dispensary. So he would, here's the Band-Aid, or here, take this, take 2 of these and call me in the morning type of thing, right? He was in the dispensary, and that's how he volunteered. And he was inspired by this doctor, inspired to be a doctor, which he eventually became. But then I think it's inspired by an ethos of service. And so when he had an opportunity to do a residency in Chicago, which is where me and my siblings were born, he always talked about the dream. And the dream was to go back home to Nigeria and provide the type of medical care that he was providing for his patients in the States, that he wanted to give Nigerians what they deserved. And so we would talk about it, the dream. And I have there's 4 of us, 2 older brothers and a little sister. And my brother Atham graduated from Stanford Law School. And rather than taking a job at a firm or something else, he came to my dad and said, do you still have the dream? Because if you do, let's do it. And that was in 2005. And we started GEANCO with a mission of bringing health initiatives to the people of Nigeria. And it started off as conversations around our dinner table. And then now here we are, and we have people like Megalyn and people like you and people that are watching, interested and curious about this thing that truly was a dream, the dream. And we've done medical missions, hip and knee replacements. We're doing scholarship in girls who have been affected by Boko Haram terrorism, and then girls that are just, in general, affected by poverty. All kinds of different things that we couldn't even have dreamed of, when you're dreaming. And here we are. So it's just really, it's amazing.
Wow. 15 years later, that's absolutely beautiful.
Amazing.
Megalyn, how did you become involved with GEANCO, and what was it about the organization that drew you to have wanted to be involved in everything?
Well, I think it was maybe like 2009 or something like that.
Yeah, Megalyn's an OG. She's from the very beginning.
Yeah, so I met Afam and Mr. Onyema, Dr. Onyema, at this. I was at like some African First Ladies Summit. Mm-hmm. It was like 20 African First Ladies came, and they were doing a like it was like Partners in Health or some healthcare organization to talk about, you know, all the things that they were doing, you know, as first ladies in their respective countries. And it was like a symposium, and I was sat at a table with Afam and Dr. Onyema, and at the time I was interested in girls' education, and I had, you know, my father died when I was so young, but I had, I think maybe a few years before, traveled to Nigeria for the first time, and I met my father's family for the first time since I was a kid, and I wanted to start a scholarship program for girls, women and girls, or I wanted to start an organization for women and girls in my father's village, Ogbogugu, which is outside of Enugu. And I met Afam, and they're Igbos, and Dr. Onyema's from Enugu, and I just felt this connection because, you know, I loved their relationship. I just loved the idea that it was like this family thing, and the organization is named after all the children. And I just saw the relationship that Afam and his father had as like the type of relationship that I would have loved to have with my father. And also I'm a daughter of a nurse. And so I was like, I love this, and I want to support anything that you guys are doing. I want to work with you. Like, I want to be part of your family. And Dr. Onyema's he's an angelic type of, I don't know if any of you guys have met him. He's like, he should be here.
Right. Yeah.
He's like this smiley, round face, like gracious, angelic guy. And I was like, oh, you guys are my new family. So I'm in. Mm-hmm. You can put Megalyn, it can be GEANCO. Because I just felt super connected, and I wanted to support. So I just started, you know, showing up, and here we are. I don't know, what year is it?
2020.
15 years later.
80 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And Ebele, you were speaking earlier about the fact that GEANCO has done medical missions and scholarships, and over the how many years that you guys have been in existence and living this dream, you have accomplished so much. And I wanted to know what, for you personally, has been the greatest accomplishment for you that GEANCO has been able to achieve.
Yeah. You know, I think that everything we do is great. There's not a single thing that I think outranks for me. Maybe some of the work that we do with girls, that's like a cause near and dear to my heart. But I think everything that we do is great. The thing I'm most proud of when I think about it is how we do what we do and why we do what we do. The how, I think that, you know, you'll have organizations in the States go lots of places, countries around Africa, lots of places, and they'll like tell the people what they want and what they should do and how they should do it. And we don't operate that way. And so I think that's like, okay, yeah, well, that's like the door to entry. You shouldn't tell people what they want or what they should do. But I think the how of what we do it in this way that is very much nothing for them without them. So it's really a partnership. We go into communities and find and listen. We listen first, and we listen long, you know, and then we bring in different community members to be part of the work. I'm thinking about an initiative that we just launched where traditional birth attendants are very popular in Nigeria. And, you know, you could be a Westerner and say, well, that's not very safe, and women should deliver in hospitals. But if that's the tradition, then how do we make that safer? And so we then said, well, okay, you know, who is the most popular birth attendant, and then work for them. And there's a story on that. I feel like I'm stealing thunder because we're going to talk about it at the gala, so I don't want to say too much. But there's a beautiful story around this birth attendant. But then the why of what we do is that we've seen medical clinics that you would think, did a bomb go off in here? Literally, the floor is dirt. There's rubble in the corner. And so the why of what we do is that women want to give birth safely.
Yeah.
Kids in Nigeria want to dream about being like Megalyn, being actresses. They want to be doctors. They want to be housewives. You know, these are real dreams. These are real desires. And I think GEANCO comes in with a posture of course.
Yeah.
Of course you should deliver in a place that has walls and a floor, let alone, you know, soap and like medical technology. Of course you should. And of course, if you get hurt and you hurt your hip and can't work, of course you should be able to get it replaced and not have to travel miles and miles and spend, you know, to do a surgery that you couldn't even dream of affording. Of course you should be able to have that. You should, of course. And I think that there's, particularly for people who are not from Africa, there's this idea of, I think there's like an idea of like, oh, we don't feel things in the same way, or we don't want things in the same way, or we don't want the same things. Yeah. And that's just, I don't understand that. And so I think GEANCO shows up in a way that everything that we do is, of course you should have this and more. This is the minimum you should have.
The bare minimum, or just some certain things should be like, you know, human rights, you know, being born in a place where people feel comfortable, where, you know, cleaning supplies are there. Ebele, how has COVID-19 affected the foundation, and what has been the response from you guys on the ground in Nigeria?
Yeah, COVID, I think, like for everyone, it's been an opportunity to do more and give more and show up and meet people where they are and what they need. So we have been able to, because we have these relationships with different hospitals and clinics, we've been able to distribute over 50,000 pieces of PPE to hospitals, particularly in rural areas that wouldn't be able to get them.
That is amazing.
Of course, you should have gloves. You should have masks. You know, so it's been a real honor to be able to do that. We've done trainings with the medical staff, and frankly, I mean, Nigeria and different countries in Africa, this isn't their first rodeo when it comes to having to tamper down, you know, infectious diseases. And so we don't come in, and again, this speaks to the how of how we do things. We don't come in and say, well, this is how you wash your hands. And this is, you know, they're like, come on, you know, but we did offer and are continuing to offer refresher courses for any new medical staff that this knowledge might be new. We're offering trainings and workshops. So we trained, you know, over 200 medical staff on, or just, you know, providing these refresher courses on different protocols, which has also felt really good. Another thing that we do is
applause.
We have a scholarship we scholarship girls. It's called the David Oyelowo Leadership Scholarship, and it's after David Oyelowo, the actor. He is a big champion of ours, and I mentioned it briefly before, but initially it started with working with girls who were rescued from Boko Haram, and involved paying for their school fees entirely, clinical services. So, you know, they went through a severe trauma, and so we provided social services, clinical services, housing, you know, food, the whole nine. That cohort, it started in 2017, has grown to 32 girls now across 4 different schools.
Wow,
Awesome.
wow, that is amazing.
We aspire to do a leadership camp with them. So now we have a critical mass of girls. We were supposed to do it this summer. We were going to do a leadership camp where all of them would come together because they're in different schools now, and really foster in them and fan the flame of what already exists in them, which is that they are entitled to and already possess dreams, and that they should get to, you know, they should get ways to indulge those dreams and figure out how they can achieve them. So that was what the leadership camp was supposed to be about. But since the girls are at home, we thought, man, if you're stranded in your rural, you know, village in Nigeria, you're not maybe getting a lot of access to a ton of stimulating things. So we were able to send out readers that are full of books with written by African authors, so they can see themselves in these stories and have their imagination still be active while they're quarantining. And one of the cool things is that one of the schools then said, well, if these girls have these readers, then we're going to do our curriculum through them. And so they're able to do remote learning through the readers that GEANCO provided, which is really fun. So that's another opportunity that that COVID gave us.
I love that.
Amazing. Like just listening to you and seeing the work that you've been doing and the work that you're doing and the impact that you've been having is so inspiring. So we're talking about this gala that I was talking about in the beginning, right? So this is usually a star-studded Hollywood black tie gala where everybody comes dressed prim and proper every year. But obviously we're in Corona now, so we're not able to do all of that glitz and glam, and you've now had to pivot into the virtual realm. So this gala will now be a virtual event. And what's that been like in terms of you organizing that and the responses people have had to, they're no longer going to be dressed up and looking all cute and stuff. They're just going to be looking at a Zoom camera or something.
I know. I hope they still look cute. They can still look cute. There's nothing stopping them from that.
I'm gonna look cute. I'm gonna be cute.
You just gotta do the waist stuff. The waist stuff. You know?
Get cute on October 24th, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Get cute. Watch the gala. But you're right. I think that it was one way I connected with Megalyn every year. You know you're going to see certain people year after year, and it's a homecoming of sorts. So it does stink that in person isn't going to happen. But again, COVID offers opportunities, and the big opportunity that doing it virtually, the big opportunity that's come out of doing it virtually is that GEANCO family that wouldn't necessarily be able to get together are able to. So, and I mean, our actor friends that might have been on set or something are able to take this time and attend. So we're super excited to have Benedict Cumberbatch and Cynthia Erivo and Andrew Garfield, Whitney Cummings, David Oyelowo, of course, Chiwetel Ejiofor. So these people, who knows if this one date at this one time would have worked for them. They could have been all over the world, and so it's technology allows you to, wherever you are, to come together. And that's really exciting. And I think that, the reason why it's exciting is then more people who don't live in LA or weren't in LA at that time are going to be able to experience all those people and more. I think that we have people who are not celebrities that are huge GEANCO supporters and have been champions ours from day one as well. And those folks are also going to be a really fun part of the evening. And that wouldn't necessarily have been able to happen if we were doing this in person. So it stinks to not have the homecoming in person and be able to hug people and see how they're doing. But the opportunity is exponential to expose the work that we're doing. I think another thing that's really nice, or one of the things that I think is going to translate from in-person to online, is that when you're in person, you realize that there's no one behind the curtain. It's our family, we are a small but mighty operation. And I think people like that when they can see who they're giving their hard-earned resources to. And they know, my money isn't going to some black hole and who knows if it's going to this, that, or the other thing. It's going to this address where my dad is in Chicago, and those dollars are going to do the things that we say they're going to do. And that's one of the benefits of the in-person, is that you get that face-to-face connection. I think that we've tried really hard with the virtual gala on October 24th, that you get that same feel. You meet our family and you realize, this GEANCO isn't something. GEANCO is them and GEANCO is me. And I'm now part of this. Yes. Yeah. I'm now part of this family, and I can trust that they do what they say they're going to do, and they use my resources the way they say they're going to use them. And there aren't layers in between me and the work that I get to do. So if you guys are clapping for me and snapping for GEANCO, you should be clapping and snapping for yourselves, because when you join our family, we're not doing it. We are doing this.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say, from everybody that you just named is going to be there, I will be in attendance from the waist up. I will be Megalyn will be there.
Garfield deserves your waist up best.
Exactly.
So what can I attend then from London?
No. If you have a ability to click a link, yes. Hopefully we'll include the link in the show notes. Everyone who sees this can attend.
And I wanted to ask, what do you hope that people who have never attended one of the galas before to take away from being able to experience the gala for the first time virtually?
Yeah, I think I'll reiterate what I said about being able to put a face to the organization,
Yeah.
and to know, if you are a person that believes that people should be treated like people, all people should be seen and treated with dignity, then you are our people and you should be part of our family. And I hope that when you watch on the 24th, you'll feel that, oh, these are my people. And I think that you'll get to hear about all the work that we're doing. And so there's like, I think there's a little something for everyone. Like, ooh, I like the whole surgery aspect, or I like the girl aspect, or other things. So I think you'll get to see what we do. And what I hope more than anything is that if you are African or Black, you will see something that you already know is true. The theme of the evening is unbreakable joy. And you know that that is true. For what Megalyn was talking about, what we were talking about earlier, about in America, hundreds and hundreds of years of oppression. And yet Black culture is so beautiful and so enticing that everyone wants to copy it all the time. Right? How can those two things be, exist at the same time? Because you have unbreakable joy. Exactly. If you are from any country in the continent of Africa, when a world thinks that your continent is a country, when your world thinks that your continent is full of animals running all over the place and, whatever, all the images that we see of the various countries in Africa, how is it that such dynamism and style and flavor and zest and zeal can come out of this place alongside corruption and things that need to, so it's because of unbreakable joy. And so I hope that, if anything, when you come on the 24th, come if you need to be you need to be reminded of what is already inside of you, if you need to see a reflection, if you need to be in community and kinship with people, because I think that, the work that we do with our girls, the surgeries that we do, yes, we're helping someone with their hip, but we're not, they're already coming with an energy and a light that is God-given and in there. And we are just saying, again, of course, you should be treated as a sparkling human that you are. So if I don't know, if you want a place to remember who you are and what you come from, then you should watch on the 24th.
It's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. So I have two more questions that I want to ask, one for each of you. All right. So Megalyn, what would you say has been your greatest lesson that you've learned that's impacted you the most, that you feel other people that are maybe trying to pursue your route or get into the way that or pursue the route that you've pursued in terms of career, that would be most beneficial to them?
I would say the most valuable thing, the tool that I have cultivated, and I sort of touched on it before, but I think I would say just courage. This keeps coming up for me, and it's still something I have to work through in my work, because as you keep climbing and pushing, it all takes courage. It takes courage to pursue your passion, because there's just so much room for failure. But that's really the beautiful thing. And if you want to pursue a life of the arts, that's all it is finding ways to overcome fear and tell and speak your truth and be vulnerable and be and affirm what you believe and say what you believe without with the knowledge that you may not be agreed with, that people might not like your art, that you might suck. And all of that is just, it's part of the whole process. So and every day I have to confront that with my work. This job I'm doing now is something I'm doing things I've never done before, and it's fucking scary and also exhilarating because that's what I thrive on. And I think that's really the ethos of an artist's life, is like, how brave can I be? How much further can I push this? And do I have the courage to do it? And those are the times, and that's the art that's the most impactful, is like people who say something that everyone's thinking that no one had the courage to say or do, or who's going beyond, who has the courage to go beyond what everyone's thinking and say something that no one ever thought of, you know? So that's what I would say, is just be brave.
Be brave, have courage. And that definitely goes a long way. It is a word. Yeah, Claire said that's a word.
You gotta say fuck it and just fucking go. Like, just jump.
Yeah, 100%. And for you, Ebele, what do you want the legacy of GEANCO to be?
Whoa. I want the legacy of GEANCO to be lives that are getting what they deserve. So for the work that we do, I want it to be that if GEANCO were to go away, we did our work in such a way that it could be sustained. So when we do surgeries, we teach the doctors that are there. We don't just bring the knowledge and then take it with us when we leave. We teach the doctors that are there. We leave generators. We leave equipment. When we're talking about these, the clinics, we're empowering the birth attendants, all of that, so that if GEANCO were to go away, these people could still keep living wonderful, fulfilling lives, and the work could continue. If we do our work in a way that if we are not constantly there, it crumbles, then we would have failed. So I want GEANCO's legacy to be that we left the world better than we found it. And I want it in terms of people who, as you were saying before, like, oh, I'm not there, what can I do? For people who aren't in Nigeria, I want our legacy to be GEANCO is an organization that challenges my perceptions of the worth of human beings and the worth of Nigerians, but Africans as a whole and as a people. They made me see humanity in people that I was never taught to see humanity in.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And so shall it be. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
So amazing speaking to you, amazing queens, like just learning about GEANCO, learning about your journey, your history, learning about everything that you both do as individuals. It's been honestly amazing, and I am going to find my clothes and come to the gala. I'll be like, I don't know, maybe I'll change my hair. I'll be like, maybe I'll wear gilly. I'm not sure.
Well, this is gorgeous, what you have now, but come.
Yeah, just wear this.
Everything that's happening right now is
thank you guys so much. It's honestly been amazing. It's been amazing. And guys, people that you are listening, please go and follow. Please attend. Please get involved and just support the amazing work both of these amazing women are doing. It's honestly just been a blessing speaking to you. Claire, what do you think?
100. I mean, Megalyn, from what you were saying, I'm like inspired, like just your faith and just how like divine timing has put you in places to really just jump in faith. And then Ebele, just the impact that you guys have been able to have on this world in 15 years. It's like, wow. I have to go harder.
But what GEANCO has done, I mean, they that was the other thing. Like, I was so attracted to that because Alpha and Dr. Onyema, they were like, they were so tiny. They were just brave. They were like, we are just going blindly towards this because this is our calling. We have faith in this. We believe in this. We have no idea if it's going to work out. We're putting so much into it. Alpha could have done anything. And he's like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to try it. There was no model because, you know, at the time people were doing, you know, these organizations in it all across Nigeria, where they were doing like kind of not the work that needed to be done. And GEANCO found a way, and is like sort of, I think, a model for what a lot of organizations should be doing, and can really learn a lot. And also just, and in addition to just doing great work, so inspiring. Like the messages, like
exactly
unbreakable joy. And when you go to the gala, you're gonna see them speak, and you're gonna be like I saw Afam speak for the first time, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, you should be a speechwriter. I mean, it's just, the programming is so beautiful and inspiring. There's so much faith and spirituality behind the work that they do. So I encourage anyone who sees this, definitely go. Everything that Ebele is saying is true. You will be so inspired and full of joy. And so, yeah, thank you, Ebele.
Ebele, I don't know if you can talk to the team about adding an extra C for Claire in there, because I'm ready to join the family.
Yes,
yes. With a B for busy, so we'll figure it out.
You are all welcome. You are all welcome. There's already a C, Claire, so we could just, you know.
I know, I'm saying the double C, because there's space. There has to be space for both of us. The more the merrier. And before we wrap, can you just again kind of give us information on the gala and where we can find more information on GEANCO?
Yes, my sister Unche will be unhappy if I don't do it. She is the heartbeat behind this gala. So October 24th, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can catch it on GEANCO, that's GEANCO.org, on the day of, and then it will be available on YouTube following. But we would love to see you on the 24th. And you can register if you need a reminder. Sometimes if you register, then we'll email you a reminder. You can do that on GEANCO.org as well.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Thank you guys so much once again. And I will definitely see you on the 24th, Claire. We're going to get
Jackson.
I have to be there, so.
Thank you. And guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Culture Unfiltered.
Bye, guys.